So, I'm coming to you from my bed. I know that seems weird. I just had this idea that I wanted to make a video, and I'm cold, and it's late. And I don't know, I just finished making the first video that I've made in like 9 or 10 months, 9 months, earlier today, and it's like I broke the floodgates. And I jumped in, got my feet wet, and now I have, I don't know, I just have videos I want to make, I have things I want to say. When I made that video, I just went back and watched it, not the one today, the one 9 months ago, number 13. I was so different. I just watched it, and I was excited, and I was confident, and I was feeling really good about my videos and feeling really good about stuff in my life. And then boom. And the stuff that I told you in the last video, it's really not even I mean, cancer is a pretty big deal, but it's really not even the first thing. I had already stopped making videos for several months before, you know, before my mother moved in with me. And it was because everything just kind of culminated on me. And one of the things that I have discovered, which is weird, is that I can't seem to be creative with people in my house, or even having too many people in my life. But as long as I have some space to myself, like my house, or even an office where I have autonomy, you know, I've got to have a certain amount of time in the day to shut off my brain and think and become this creative person. And that's my advice to anybody who's struggling, is to figure out a way to isolate. And that seems like, why has that become a negative thing today, to isolate yourself? I don't mean, you know, all the time, obviously, but oh, it just feels like so many things, so many times, so much stuff in your life is, you know, pulling you in every direction. And if you're a creative person, I think that maybe that is too much, because as a caretaker, if you're in my life, I am going to try to take care of you. And because of that, I seem to attract people to my life who, for whatever reason, want or need to be taken care of. And it's probably why I had 5 children, even though I didn't even, you know, I shouldn't have, I'm not going to say I shouldn't have done that, but I mean, I wasn't in a position to, you know, take care of 5 children. This is one of the things I tell people all the time. Don't have kids. Don't jump in bed with people that you don't know, because you end up with kids. No. No, I love my children. That's not what I mean, really. I mean, it is, but it's not. Anyway, I was looking at this video, number 13, and I was giving a tour of my camper that I had just started to try and do some work on. And I had just bought, I don't think I put it in that video, but I had just bought a webcam, not a webcam, a dash cam. And I know that it was up there already, because right after that video, I drove all over town handing out hotspot magazines for the VOV. I was talking about the VOV, and I was getting ready to go to the VOV. the Valley of the Vapors Music Festival, which is a thing, excuse me, that I do every year that I really enjoy volunteering there. And while I was driving around handing out hot spots I take them to the hotels and stuff. It's one of my volunteer duties. I was talking the whole time in my dash cam. And I'm not even positive that my dash cam records sound. I mean, I assume it would. What else would it be good for? But anyway, I mean, I had never got the chance to test it. I did, for some reason, take the SD card out of it and I put it somewhere. But just like the last day of the VOV, I sprained my ankle. And and I was taking care of Melinda's mom, and I was staying in her basement apartment, which, and you have to, in order to, she had these big pit bulls that I had to take them outside and stuff, and well, that was a mess. Trying to get up and down the stairs with a sprained ankle. And I don't know, you have to, so you do it. And I guess, I don't know if it was because I was down. Anyway, somebody broke into my camper. And the first time they broke in, they just kind of made a mess. I can't remember what they took. They didn't take very much. Well, then the second time, they came back and broke into it again, both times at Lindell Square. The first time it was parked in the back parking lot, and the second time I had parked it on the street because I thought that it would be more visible, and that didn't help. They still broke into it, and this time they took that giant stereo and that TV, and they took my dash cam, and they went into the glove compartment, and they took my, I had a Kindle in there. The fact that there was a Kindle in there, that makes me think that that happened when my son was living with me, because I think it was his Kindle. I don't remember. Anyway. Yeah, and so I do have that video somewhere, and I just don't know where it is. Like I said, I've made a couple of videos on my phone, and I don't know where they are. I mean, clearly, they're in my phone. But if I didn't do something with it right away, you know how that is. There's so many things in there. How are you supposed to just spend an hour or two sorting through them? Anyway, I just wanted to say some stuff about that, about how everything had changed, about how my camper got broke into, and then it got crashed, and kids were living with me. All that happened before my mom came and moved in with me. And I feel like I was just watching this. My new favorite YouTuber is Rafi, R-A-F-I. I should have taken better note of his YouTube channel so I could tell you what it is, but I'll put a link in the description. But he does, he's an artist, and he does videos that are hilarious. You should watch them. About how to sell your art, and whether or not you can call yourself an artist, and just all kinds of little inspirational things, which are great. I love them. I love being inspired that way, and I appreciate people being able to get online and inspire each other that way. And he was talking about whether or not you can call yourself an artist. And I don't know. I can't remember now why I had that idea. But I just had this idea to make this video, because here I have been, even though I'm not as confident, I don't know, I am more confident and I am less confident at the same time. I could see it in my face when I made my video and I compared it to that video number 13, and I compared it to how I felt then and how I feel now. And I mean, I have a brand new skill now that I didn't even have then, which is interesting. That's an interesting new component, is that I've suddenly become a charcoal artist, which I never could draw. I mean, like my whole life I could not draw. And I learned something about that too, taking a drawing class, was that people tend to, they draw as children usually, and then they, you know, they continue to improve up until a point where they either, somebody, you know, either they look at someone else's work and decide that it's so much better than theirs that they couldn't possibly be any good, or someone tells them they're no good. And at that point, they either continue to draw and get better, or they stop. And I guess that's what I did. Is I can kind of remember being, as a child in school, looking at mostly boys. Boys tend to develop art skills, drawing skills, I think, earlier. They probably focus more on it for some reason than girls do. And I remember looking around at other kids' art and other kids' drawings and thinking how awesome they were and how mine just sucked. And I remember when I was in the 6th grade and I had a friend who was from Costa Rica, and she, technically I guess she was like 1 or 2 years older than me, and she had been put back because of her language barrier, which is sad. They don't do it that way anymore, but it's not a nice thing to do to a kid. Here, you're stupid because you don't speak English, so you need to be 2 years back. Anyway, her name was Zoni Bell. I'd sure like to catch up with her again. She was from Costa Rica. No, she wasn't. Hang on a second. What's the other one? She moved to Costa Rica, but she was from someplace else, and they were having a war is why her family left. Oh, I can't remember. Seems like it started with a G. But it wasn't Guatemala or Guadalajara. It was, I can't remember. Anyway, she was awesome, and she drew amazing art, and because of that she was always, you know, asked to draw things for the class, for the school, because we had this great teacher who really, Mr. Hood, who he really was inspirational to the kids. He was a good teacher. And I think it was a Chinese New Year or something, and he had her draw her own year animal. Can't remember if it was because that was that year that it had turned around and become the year of the rooster again or whatever, but anyway, she drew this amazing rooster on black paper with pastels, and it was just so vibrant and colorful and simple and huge, and it just blew me away. It amazed me how she could just put her hand to the paper and it would flow out with, so the colors would flow out into the shape she wanted with so much confidence. And I think it just intimidated me to the point where I said, whoa, I can't do that. So anyway, I'm in this drawing class this past semester, and I, you know, it started out the way I expected it to, because I've never been able to draw. You know, when I draw something, and I have drawn 2 or 3 things in my life that shocked me how well I drew them. And it was because I had sat down and tried to draw something for a really specific reason, and so I guess because I was being careful and slow and thinking of the reason I was drawing it instead of the fact that I wanted it to look good or whatever, that it actually looked pretty good. And but I just moved on from them. I didn't try to do it again. And anyhow, so we started this drawing class, and I had made a decision that I was just going to say, whatever happens, happens. I know I can't draw, so I'm not going to push at it. I'm just going to have fun. That's what I walked in there and said, I'm just going to have fun. And so the first few things that we drew, excuse me, were, you know, you've got your blind contour and your modified blind contour and all that stuff. And they're obviously going to look weird and stupid, and so that was helpful, I think. That the first things that we drew, everybody drew something that looked weird and stupid, so that was actually good. And then, oh, excuse me, it's late. And then we started to draw, you know, still lifes and whatnot, and so it wasn't anything. It's funny how if you draw something that is when you draw an inanimate object versus drawing a person, I have noticed for myself that I have less of an emotional attachment to how it looks, and so it looks a little better than it would, and I don't care. So that's also, that's probably why they start that way. Well, then the first time that we went to draw a person, she had gone over a lot of information about how to do it, and so I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't look as bad as I expected. And eventually she taught us this technique that I'd never heard of before, where you tone your paper, and you take and you know, put a big thick layer of charcoal all over the paper, and mash it around with, you know, and smooth it down, and so it's called toned. And then you start to draw on top of that, and you draw essentially not just with your charcoal, but also with your eraser to bring out highlights and white spaces. And everything is going to be in a more subdued tone. It's all grayscale more than black and white. So something about that particular medium, it doesn't feel like drawing so much to me. And when I first start a portrait, it does look awful because in the beginning I'm drawing it and I don't draw well. But as I keep working on it and smudging and pushing and using the eraser for the highlighting and whatnot, suddenly it feels less like drawing and more like sculpture, if that doesn't sound really stupid. More like I'm pushing the charcoal around the paper until it looks right. And it's so malleable, if you know what that means, that you know, like, you just can work it and work it and work it. And you can erase it because you've got a layer of charcoal on top of another layer of charcoal, and so if something is totally messed up, you just psh, with your fingers and just and it's gone. It's just back to gray again. And so you fix it. Because like I did this one very complicated, I'll show it to you. Somehow I'll figure out how to get it in here. I did this one, I'm very proud of it. I did this one very complicated scene. Was a we had a live model, and she was sitting at a table reading a newspaper. And when I first started to draw it, I thought, I mean, there was a coat hanging on the chair, and the newspaper, and a vase of flowers, and I thought, oh my God, this is so complicated and so many different things to draw. I thought, oh, I'm never gonna get this the way. And it took me, it was so much that we had to do it over 2 days, and so we actually had to count on her to come back and sit the same way the second day. That was weird. And you know, we had to figure out how to get into the same spot as well. That was weird. And it was interesting. But I'm really proud of how it turned out. And the first day, I had my perspective wrong. And where I had put her butt on the chair, you know, like the height of the legs and everything, it was all wrong. And it made the whole picture look really wonky. And I had been working on it, trying to make it look right. And the teacher comes over and looks at it, and she says, well, this needs to be longer or shorter. I forget which now. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have to take this whole thing and start over, and I don't know how. And she was like, no, you don't. And she just went, shh. And I was like, whoa. And the whole bottom half and the bottom of the chair and everything was gone. And I was like, I can do it again. And so the second version of it, of her butt and chair and everything, worked out so well. And it's in the right proportion now. And I don't know. I feel like suddenly I have this skill I never had before of being able to get some charcoal and some paper, and I love it. I love it so much. And I did after the semester ended, I have done one piece. I'd like to do more, but it's so cold. I can't get out of my room. It's just so cold. Yeah, anyway. I just wanted to talk about that. So I'm going to show you some pictures after this video, I guess, and I don't know, I may add another piece to this video, but I guess this is the long part of it. It's a little bit too long, probably. Anyway. So if you like videos and you want to see more of them, you know, you can hit subscribe, thumbs up the videos, and visit me on Facebook, Instagram. I like to Instagram a lot. And I just recently started a new website, so some of my videos may have the wrong URL. I don't know what happened to it, but something happened with VictoriaOnTheRoad.com, and it just disappeared. It went away. I don't know where it went. So I've recently purchased SpaCityPhotography.com, and then I started building a website, and somehow I changed it because SpaCityPhotography.com doesn't seem to go anywhere, even though that's the URL I bought. But the website is at winsometouch.SpaCityPhotography.com, and I am putting it in the description of this video, and I put it in the description of the last video, and I will be updating it on the other videos so that it's current. And I have updated it on my channel description. You can also catch me on Facebook at my personal page is at Vicarious Victoria, I think. Under the names Victoria Stewart-Meyers. And I also have Instagram, like I said, VictoriaOnTheRoad. And I'll put all the links in the description. I can't remember them. So yeah, come check me out. Say hi. Tell me, you know, that you watch my videos or whatever. Leave me a comment. Ask me a question. Give me, so I'm not always rambling in all these videos. If you'd ask me a question, then I would have something to say. So yeah, peace. I'm Victoria. Yeah, I just got slammed. I got really, really slammed with family obligations. And I didn't. I've been to some in other places and have never been able to.
The hurricanes, the earthquakes, the fires.
Anyway.